Hey everybody out there in the world today, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today we have a question from More Awesome Metal, who says, you said previously that any martial art can actually perform in fighting if the guy who practices this martial art previously knows how to fight and tries to decipher the true meaning of the forms he's been practicing. Well, I said something along those lines. That's a paraphrasal, I suppose. I'll accept it. He goes on to say, in order to find their true, original, and meaningful applications in fighting. You also said that you originally come from the martial art of taekwondo. That's true. As a much younger man, I began practicing taekwondo. Did that for a very long time. And yeah. He goes on to say, so here's my question. Now that you are a true experienced fighter who has experienced dozens of fighting styles, techniques, and challenged your skills against so many various fighters in the ring, in the cage, etc., I wonder this. Have you managed yet to find out how to make Taekwondo an efficient combat style that you yourself can apply in real combat? Or is Taekwondo just a helpless system of fighting anyhow you've tried? He has another question, but let's address this one first. Taekwondo! Okay. What is Taekwondo? Taekwondo has become the world's most popular martial arts-themed daycare system. Meaning parents will take their small children to a Taekwondo class, drop them off, hope their children will achieve some level of discipline, have fun, and give the parents some time away to go shopping or whatever, so they can come back and pick up little Billy in an hour or two, and he can live out his fantasy of being a Power Ranger for a little bit each day. But before that, Taekwondo was a fairly well-respected martial art practiced by adult human beings who were serious about fighting. What is Taekwondo? Taekwondo is a kicking martial art. Sure, there's more to it than that. The word actually means the foot and fist way. The way of punching and kicking. But predominantly, in its modern form of practice, Taekwondo is the kicking martial art. It's how to kick in the context of kicking against someone who is kicking back at you. That's Taekwondo. That's Olympic Taekwondo, and the ITF, International Taekwondo Federation, also allows light contact punches to the head or the face. But both styles are principally about kicking. Okay. Now, here's the problem with that, is that if you have only practiced kicking or predominantly kicking in that context of a guy only kicking back at you or predominantly kicking back at you, and then you fight a guy who's a pretty decent boxer, you might think, well, kicks are stronger than punches, but then you'll find out very quickly that the boxer 9 times out of 10 is going to win that fight. And that confuses people. It's like, well, wait, I thought Taekwondo was this serious martial arts, and martial arts is better than boxing. Except boxing is a martial art. Boxing is the martial art of position. It is the martial art of positioning yourself to land strikes on your opponent in a manner in which they are not able to land strikes on you. And so if a boxer understands your range is long-distance kicking, he knows how to cut you off so you can't do that. And make angles that you wouldn't have even thought of, because your context was different than his. And so you're going to get lit up quite a bit. And so because of this, and also the advent of the UFC, where guys who didn't know how to grapple were taken down by guys who did, and humiliated, and all the strikers who didn't know how to wrestle or do jiu-jitsu were like, oh man, what do we do? All of these traditional striking styles got poo-pooed by the public. Oh, karate's useless, taekwondo is useless, kung fu is useless, etc., etc. Except kicking is an integral part of fighting. An integral part, emphasis on the part, It is not the end-all be-all of fighting. It is not the whole entirety of fighting. It is one of the pieces of the puzzle. So what does Taekwondo do? It teaches you how to kick, teaches you how to kick well, how to be a good technical kicker, how to kick with power, how to kick with control, how to kick against someone who is kicking back at you. And those are all valuable skills that all fighters should have. But do you need to put on a dobok, a traditional Taekwondo uniform, tie on a belt, learn all the forms, master the entire system, become a black belt in Taekwondo before you are able to integrate the 7 basic kicks of Taekwondo and a few variations of them into your game? No, absolutely not. You can learn that stuff fairly quickly, especially if you already know how to fight. So I use Taekwondo techniques every single time that I spar in the context of kicking. So if it's kickboxing, yeah, and guess what? You probably do too. Do you ever use a roundhouse kick? Surprise, that's a Taekwondo technique. And before anybody says, well, a Taekwondo roundhouse kick is more of a snap kick. Taekwondo in its purest form is all kicks. Round kicks, round snap kicks, round turning kicks, mid kicks, high kicks, low kicks. Now, in competition, we see kicks to the body, kicks to the head, because that's the rule set. And in competition, snap kicks are going to be faster. And speed is of the essence in a Taekwondo competition. Whereas in a real fight, position matters a great deal more than speed. Accuracy matters a great deal more than speed. So Olympic-style Taekwondo is very much a young man's game since it's so speed-oriented. When you get better at position, specifically boxing and wrestling, and this is quite interesting, when you get really good at boxing and wrestling, and you know the basic kicks of Taekwondo, you start to get really good at using Taekwondo kicks in the context of fighting. Take a look at the fight between John Jones and Stephan Bonnar. This happened how long ago? Like 12, 13 years ago? 11, 12, so about 12 years ago. Stephan Bonnar and John Jones fought. This is the first time I saw John Jones fight. I did not know John Jones was a wrestler. I didn't know that he was a highly decorated wrestler. But he was fighting Stephan Bonnar, who was a Taekwondo black belt, an accomplished Taekwondo black belt. And if I did not have the ring announcers there, explaining who was the Taekwondo black belt and who was the wrestler, I would have been very confused, because John Jones, the wrestler, was the one doing all the spinning back kicks and all the cool Taekwondo kicks, and Stephan Bonnar was the one eating all the kicks in that fight. Taking the kicks. Why was John Jones able to impose his will as far as kicking on the guy who was supposedly a master of kicking? I'll tell you, it had something to do with his wrestling background, because wrestling is the art of position in very much the same way boxing is the art of position. And when you understand wrestling and boxing, you understand how to put yourself in the right position to hurt the other guy and not let him hurt you. So one of the most important things that I did to become better at using Taekwondo, or kicking, in a fight was learning how to wrestle and learning how to box. I put out a video recently about the turning back kick, and I got a lot of positive feedback on that one from some advanced Taekwondo practitioners, guys who were 3rd degree, 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree black belts were sending me emails about that, saying, wow, that really opened up my eyes to position that I was completely unaware of before. The way you broke down the footwork and the position of that technique. I've been doing spinning back kicks for ages. I can break stacks of what do you call those things? Boards with this kick and so on. But man, that was eye-opening. Where did you learn that? Did you learn that from your Taekwondo days? Now, I learned the mechanics of throwing the kick from my Taekwondo days. I had plenty of experience throwing the kick against other Taekwondo guys in my Taekwondo days. But the wisdom, the knowledge from that specific video, the setup, the footwork, no, I didn't get that from Taekwondo. I got that from training and fighting against grapplers, wrestlers specifically, and boxers. When you understand the contexts for these positional martial arts, you start to see openings and windows for these movements that are in your movement vocabulary already. And you start to see setups and pathways to achieve them that were not there before. Man, I get so many questions about Wing Chun on my channel. Wing Chun is a similar situation because a lot of people dismiss the whole system as being useless garbage. But the fact is, Wing Chun covers a piece of the puzzle, specifically infighting, hand fighting, trapping, blocking, very close range where it's not quite the clinch and it's not quite outside of the clinch, but you're inside the pocket, fighting inside the pocket before you've tied up or separated. That's essentially what Wing Chun is, but that's a small portion of a fight. Now, can you use that in a fight? Yeah, of course you can, if you know how to box and if you know how to wrestle. Then you will understand how to put yourself in that position or extricate yourself from that position safely, and then use those techniques when you're there. I mean, take a look at this clip right here. This is from a MMA sparring session with one of my students, and there's an exchange of strikes and hand fighting here. Now, this hand fighting, I'm not going to say it's Wing Chun. This is hand fighting I learned from the speed bag, from boxing. These are speed bag patterns being employed in real life. Speed bag patterns are not just punching. It's principally hand fighting, blocking, trapping, framing, etc., interspersed with an occasional punch here or there. And when you include the correct footwork along with it, boom, mind-blowing windows of opportunity open up. So Taekwondo is an awesome martial art, like many martial arts are, with some great, beautiful, wonderful movements in its movement syllabus that every great fighter should know, but unfortunately, like I said before, has become most well known as the world's greatest martial arts themed daycare program for small children. Take that as you will. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.